Welcome back. So this ISTQB Foundation Level Certification Preparation consists of seven chapters. So first we will be concentrating on chapter one, that is fundamentals of testing. So in chapter one, fundamentals of testing, we will be concentrating at what is testing, why is testing necessary, and seven testing principles, test process and psychology of testing. So yeah, let's since we are preparing for ISTQB, let's see what is testing. So testing is basically as it is said here, testing is not only verification, it's also validation. So I'm introducing you to the two new terms here, verification and validation. Let's see what verification and validation mean. Now let's say you're testing a scientific software like Sage. Okay, so the requirement is Sage is supposed to support not only arithmetic operations, it is also supposed to support algebraic, trigonometric, and calculus operations. So this is requirement. Now, once you're very clear about the requirement, you also validate. It's not only doing those requirements. It's not only supporting those requirements, it is also supporting correct operations of them. That is validation. So when we say say it supports arithmetic, algebraic, trigonometric, and calculus operations, that is requirement. So meeting the requirement is whether it's meeting the requirement or not is verification. Validation is where you check whether it is doing it correctly or not. Correct. So verification is mere verification of requirements. Validation is ascertaining their accuracy. The requirement is met properly or not. This ISTQB definition of testing is while testing does involve checking whether the system meets specified requirement, it also involves validation, which is checking whether the system will meet user or other stakeholder needs in its operational environment. Now, let's come back to this. So, yeah, and objectives of testing. Why do we do testing basically? We do testings to prevent defects. I'm now again introducing you to the term defect. So, say for example, you are doing a divide operation in your code, and you have not handled the divide by zero condition. Now, this divide by zero, not handling divide by zero condition is basically error, and this error results in defect. And once it is in the operation, and when actual data is supplied with zero, and when you try to divide it by zero, what results is failure. So, error leads to defect, defect leads to failure. And also objective of testing involves ascertaining requirements have been fulfilled or not. And then testing also helps in building confidence in the level of quality of the product. Now to whomever you try to give this product, first question will be asked whether is the software tested for what. So and what all kinds of testing is done. So once you say this software is tested for so many things with so many test data, actually the correspondingly the confidence of end user using the product shoots up. And then the objective of testing is to find defects and failures. So and eliminating them. So you find the defects and prevent it from subsequent failure, and you ensure that there are a minimal number of defects in the product to provide sufficient information to the stakeholders to allow them to make informed decisions. So when you say there are two kinds of testing, one is there are two kinds of coverages that you do when doing testing. One is requirement coverage, another one is code coverage. So you ensure that all the requirements are covered properly or not, and also like in the product you check like when you run the test case how much code coverage is happening. So code coverage is like checking whether you are testing all the lines of product code or not. So, and in addition to that, there may be obligations like regulatory requirements and standards for testing. So, if you are developing a mission critical software like a real time boiler system or avionics software, like where there is a regulatory requirement itself, like which says like the testing should be to this extent, like um, you need to check all conditions, you need to trace all the parts in the code, there will be requirements like that. So in a sense, what we are trying to say is the objective of testing is to prevent defects. You check whether all the requirements have been fulfilled or not, and then you help in building the confidence in the product that is being delivered, and to find the defects and failures, and then to provide sufficient information to the stakeholders. Like you say, like for this product we executed a number of test cases. So like the number like signifies to what extent the testing was done, and then you say the percentage of coverage is so and so percentage, 80% coverage, 90% coverage, 100% coverage. So when you say 80% code coverage is done, you are saying like 80% of the lines in the product code are tested. And then like there will be in certain cases you are bound to like satisfy regulatory requirements. In that case also you are supposed to do a thorough testing. Now there are two things here, testing and debugging. And let's see how they differ basically. Debugging is like is something which developers do. Testing is something which testers do. So for example, when you report a bug, and then when the developer tries to reproduce that bug, and then when he tries to eliminate it, he or she tries to eliminate it, that process is debugging. So testing and debugging are not same. So testing is like as we said, testing is for preventing defects and failures, but while debugging is actually running the product and isolating the defect and fixing it. I repeat, testing is for finding the defects and failures. Debugging is a process where you isolate the problem and then fix it. So many ideas, right? Like many ideas, including VS Code, Spring Tool Suite, Eclipse. Every environment, integrated development environment gives you an option of debugging. So you try to simulate exact scenario which resulted in that defect and subsequently failure, and then you isolate that particular problem of line of code which is resulting in that defect or failure, and then you fix it. That is debugging. Thank you. Let's meet in the next section.